Remote control holder pillow by Share Our World. Today we are making a remote control pillow. Here are all of my remote controls. Here is my fabric for the back or front. And here is the fabric for my pocket and the fabric for the pocket side of my pillow. Fold pocket fabric in half, hot dog direction, and iron. This creates a finished top edge for your pocket. The first thing I'm going to do is figure out my remotes. To do this, I'm just going to lay my remotes out like I like them. I'm going to put this one in the center just because I think it'll be easiest. Just like that. Then I'm going to take my pocket fabric and I am going to start, and I'm going to line it up along the bottom, and I'm going to start at my first remote, and I'm going to mark where my first remote ends. Right here. And if you notice, I am pushing the pocket fabric, but I am leaving the bottom fabric flat. I'm going to pull this remote out just a teensy bit, pull my pocket fabric up. Then I am going to once again mark my fabric. And as you can see, I am marking my fabric so it goes across the top of where my pocket is. Coming in here, making sure I'm staying lined up at the bottom. And last but not least, we're going to do this one right here. Now I'm going to remove my remotes and put them aside. You could also make a cell phone pocket. And what I'm going to do, I have my ruler. What I'm going to do is I am going to first draw across the top of where my pockets are going to be. Just draw across the top, just like that. Make it nice and straight. Now you can see I have a line that has my remote control edges on them, right like that. Now I'm going to take this mark and I'm going to extend it down to the bottom. I'm using an erasable marker, which I probably shouldn't be today because it's erasing really fast. But we'll see if we can get this done really fast. And if you notice, I'm lining up with the top, so these marks are parallel with everything. I'm being careful to keep everything nice and parallel and straight. And there I have lines where my remote controls are going to be, if you can see those. Now I'm going to do the same thing with my pocket fabric. Just going to create lines straight down. From the top, so they're nice and straight, starting where my mark was, and just making nice straight lines down the edge of my fabric. And that's all of them. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to line these up top and bottom, and I am going to pin them. Top and bottom. Then I'm just going to pin them right there. And after I've pinned it, making sure I've lined up the top and the bottom, I am going to sew that line. And I'm going to do these individually, that way I am not getting ahead of myself. Now we're going to remember to backstitch really well on that one. Now I'm going to line up this next one, and if you see, I have a pocket that I have made with that lineup. So I'm going to line up the top of this one right like that, put a pin in it. Then I'm going to line up the bottom of it just like this and put a pin in it also. Now I can tell if I've been lined up all the way if I bring this back and my lines match. See, there's my line and there's my fold, they match. You can't actually see that. I will draw it with a piece of tailor's chalk so you can see it. I will draw the next one with a piece of tailor's chalk so you can see it. This one I'm going to sew. And I'm just starting at the bottom. It doesn't really matter if you start at the bottom or the top, but I'm starting at the bottom personally. And going right directly along the line that I've drawn, all the way to the top, and I'm backstitching. Now my next one, I'm lining it up, and I'm lining it up to the tailor's chalk so you can see it, and that top line that I drew. That top line gives me a destination for the top edge of my pocket. If I don't draw that top line, it is not the end of the world, but it's going to be straighter if you do. And as you can see, when I pull this back, my fold lines up with that tailor's chalk line right there. Right there, they line up. So I know I've got it nice and straight. Then I'm going to sew my next one. Then I'm taking my next line, and again, just lining up the top and the bottom, giving it a quick pin. Oops, didn't get that through all of my fabric. Lining up the top and the bottom. There we go. And giving that a quick line, sewing right through there. And then my last one. And as you can see, I obviously am making a tuck. And the reason why I did not cut this out originally, I didn't cut the length of my pocket originally, was because I didn't know what length it needed to be. And I can't guess what length it will be for somebody else either, because I don't know what remotes people have. So sewing up along that line, giving that top a quick back stitch. Now I can trim this off at the edge, but I'm not going to do that right this second. So now we have these tucks, and we need to take care of the big part, and the bottom part is flat. So we need to take care of this extra fabric at the bottom. So we are going to find the center and we're going to pinch it. And then we're going to push this fold down. So it's just essentially just a pinch. It doesn't have to be real even, it just needs to be taken up. Again, this one's a little bit smaller, so we're going to pinch it, and this one I'm just going to fold over because I don't really have enough room to do the other way. I'm giving these a quick pin. This one I'm going to do the same. I'm going to find the center, then I'm going to push it down. It doesn't have to be super beautiful because you're not really going to see this much. Then I'm going to take this one's just a teensy, so I'm going to fold it over. Then I am going to baste along this line. And really, I'm mostly just going to baste my folds. And I'm basting this at the edge of my presser foot. That's as much as I need to do. Now I'm going to go cut this so it's even. Now we are nice and even. The next thing I'm going to do is I have this little extra piece of fabric. And I am going to layer this right here. As you can see, I'm essentially covering up the end of my pocket. I'm going to sew this at a 1/2 inch. That's wider than my basting was. My basting was 1/4 inch. And there I have it. There's the front of my pillow, all ready for my remotes. And see how nicely they fit in there? There we have it. All of my remotes. You're not going to see this one because it's not sewn on the edge yet. The next thing I'm going to do is go give this a quick iron up. Place the pocket piece we just made right sides together with the front piece of the pillow. My front fabric or back fabric is cut the same size. Essentially I match cut it. You don't have to, but I find that I like to match cut things to make them so that they work better. And I am going to make an opening for my pillow form. Clip this all the way around. I'm clipping especially at the top of the pocket and the bottom of that pocket, and then once along the top. Then I'm going to start at my opening, and I'm just a little out from the edge of the presser foot. My tape is at the 1/2 inch mark. I'm not quite there. If you're worried that your pillow form won't fit through that size of opening, make your opening a little bit bigger. Now I'm going to trim my corners. And we will put our pillow form in here. Here's my corners all trimmed. Turn it right side out. This fabric I hand dyed. I just wanted to use it. I thought it was pretty. Your choice of fabric is completely up to you. You can use a panel, you can use a 9 patch. I just happened to have this pretty piece of hand dyed fabric that needed a place to be. I'm pushing the corners out with my fingers. I will be pulling them out with a pin just because that's how I usually do it. But I like to get them kind of pushed out prior to that. There's my corners all pulled out. Ooh, that's pretty. Now we're going to pull my corners out. We just threw a pin on the floor. Pull those corners out nice and pretty. There's the front. There's the pockets. Now we'll put our pillow form in it. Here's my pillow form. I'm not going to actually iron the ends of my pillow. You might, but I don't typically. We're going to push this pillow form into this little teensy hole. Now I'm going to finish stuffing my pillow form in here. Then I'm going to take both corners and I'm just going to give it a good whack. Then I'm going to turn it and then I'm going to give it a good whack. Then I'm going to turn it and give it a good whack. And so I'm holding the corners and giving a good whack that gets the pillow form in there nice and firmly. Then I'm going to carefully fold these under, and I'm going to use clips, and I'm just going to ladder stitch this. You can actually find ladder stitch tutorials in lots of places. I haven't made one personally. I may or may not eventually make one because there's a lot of good ones out there. So I'm pinning this, I'm clipping this shut. Pins can work a little bit easier possibly, but I don't have any right here on my sewing table. And you can see I'm just turning my raw edges in, and I'm lining up so it's ready to ladder stitch. You can also blind stitch this, but ladder stitching is intrinsically a little bit easier. And there I have it. I'm ready to ladder stitch. And as you can see, I have my pockets on this side for all of my controllers. And I'm ready to ladder stitch the bottom. And there we have it. There's our stitch, there's our pillow, there's the front of the pillow. Thank you for watching the remote control holder pillow by Share Our World.